Can he say one more thing? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You felt that? You
Yes,
felt that? I see you
sir.
felt that. I see you felt
It
that
go
thing. Man,
hard.
what's up? What's up,
What's
bro? How
going
you
on?
doing, man?
I'm well. How you doing, Lee B?
Man, I'm chilling, man, but I'm running to Facebook right now because we are live on Digital Media
Okay.
Collective page.
Okay. I
And
need to
I want to
share
share
it.
the broadcast, man, because some of
Yeah.
our people, they don't always get notifications, but they watch our pages. So we definitely
You're
want to get
right.
them in here. I'm excited about today because not only because it's the day that the Lord has made, but it's
Yes, sir.
Tuesday. It's a new
Yes, sir.
week. And it's graduation week for so many people, man. So it's a moment of high celebration to all of the scholars and the students that have matriculated through the Montgomery Public School System. Somebody told me you graduated,
A
and I
while
saw a
ago.
church. Yeah, I'm about to say I saw a church, and they were asking people, "What was your graduation year? When did you graduate?
College or high school? Which one?
High school."
Oh, 97. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, man. Look, I was in the third grade.
What? Wait,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. I
What
got
year did you
promoted
graduate?
2006. Yeah, I
Boy, I
left
remember
sixth
what I was.
grade in 2000.
Dang, I think I had book by 2006, didn't it? Yeah. Dang, bro. Yeah.
Hey,
But no, man, it's that time of year, man. Everything's busy. Everybody's moving around. It's so much stuff going on. Like we're on off the cuff right now. I'm in Manchester, Tennessee. Um,
I
the
didn't know there was a Manchester, Tennessee.
Me either. But I'm here with the Valiant Boys Choir. They're performing with this American Revival tour that's going on, and they're part of the finale. So,
Love it.
Manchester, I haven't seen any black people. I mean, I don't know why that's relevant, but no,
Culture shift.
man, but everything. Look, I'm excited about today's podcast. Have you noticed, like, even in our community,
Mhm.
podcasts are booming right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You you
it's a thing to
you
do.
have the return of community conversations with my homie Eric Nettles, Michelle Summers, Row Tires. They had a bomb not reunion. What would you call that? Like relaunch last week at
That,
Sugar Ray's,
that's a better word.
and yeah. So
Relaunch now, and
it's good
I
to.
heard it was major, and they had all types of
Mhm,
candidates there, and Montgomery showed up and watched as well, which is the better part of it. Is that we have so
mhm,
many people who are attempting to give that positive energy and good perspectives to all the craziness that's going on in our
mhm.
world. And so, man, I'm excited about this season, but I'm even more excited because we're on the helm of a day that we all should participate in and vote, right?
Right,
May
right, right.
19th is coming quickly, man, and we have to
Yes.
vote with all that we've been seeing in the city of Montgomery. That has a lot to do with the state of Alabama. This is not a time for us to be apathetic. This is the moment for all of us to make sure that our voice counts and vote. I'm excited
Right,
about it,
right.
TB. I'm
Yeah,
excited,
man.
man.
And I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of that conversation with our guest for today.
Mhm.
But I'm excited. Seeing the day where our peers, like today's guest, I went to school with Dwayne, and so
Oh, really?
to see, yeah, we went to Robert E. Lee together, and so to see
Oh,
him, to have a peer like that running for school board for the same system we were students in, I'm really excited about that, man.
that's amazing.
Quick
I didn't know
question.
you went to Lee.
Yeah, I went to Lee. So before BTW was established, schools had to transport you to Carver to get
Right,
your magnets for a couple of hours a day. And that was
right.
called CPAC, Carver Creative Performing Arts Center.
Gotcha.
In '97, they opened our own school, and you could be there all day. You didn't have to be transported. So, uh, but I was at Lee, and you know, you know what? I don't want to get too far into that because I want to talk to Dwayne in his face when I
No,
talk about this part.
yeah, we need to talk about this because it sounds to me like the two of y'all were some of the first ever magnet students in Montgomery Public Schools. That's what it sounds
Well,
like to me.
Dwayne wasn't magnet. You know what I'm saying? if if dressing, if fashion were a magnet back then, he
That was
would have
him,
been a magnet. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
man. Well,
But
I don't know that Dwayne Ferrier, but I'm so excited to know the Dwayne Ferrier that legitimately a few weeks ago I pulled up to Floyd Middle Magnet to pick up my son, and he was out there painting the stairs. I know the
wow,
Dwayne Ferrier that when I walked into the basketball games, he is back there, selling the chips and the candy and the drinks. He's always working. Every time I see him, he's working and or he's trying to get you to be a part of the work. And I think that is
right.
something that is so amazing. We definitely know he's a brother of Omega Psi Phi, very vibrant, very vocal, very visible in the city of
Mhm.
Montgomery. So we got to introduce the son and definitely let the rest of the world see him and hear from him. It's our brother Dwayne Ferrier.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good
Wow.
afternoon. I
I
bet.
made the
I
show.
bet you.
I
Look,
made the show. Oh, this is such an honor. I made the show. I'm on here with the old man and the young whippersnapper. I made the show.
oh
Wow.
man,
Hold
oh,
on,
oh
bro.
man, oh man,
I can't.
oh man.
I can't. I can't accept old man from you, homie.
Hey, I sit back and it has been an honor and a pleasure to watch the two of you in this space. The way you get to bounce off of each other, it's so genuine, so natural. So for me to be on the show, it's just, well, this might be a top five moment for me.
Oh man, get out of here. Get out because I already know one of your top five moments was when you crossed Omega Psi Phi. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I have so many Omega friends, but I ain't gonna lie. I walked up to Dwayne and I told him to his face, "You disappointed me." Did I tell you that?
He did. You did. You did.
I, I was
You
thoroughly
did.
disappointed in you, and there are a lot of good Omega men, but I thought that I had set the ultimate example for you, and
You,
I wanted to bring
you
you. I
did.
wanted to bring you on this. I wanted to bring you on the show for you to apologize. Go ahead, we listen.
You know, that was one of those things when my mom told me if I don't have nothing nice to say, then you don't say nothing at all. So I'm gonna just hold my comments for this time.
I
Love it.
appreciate it, brother.
Now, we know that you're running for a very, very important seat on the Board of Education. But before I'm gonna give you your ability to go ahead and tell the opportunity to tell us the district and all those things. But I bet you didn't know I was watching you paint those stairs, did
I did not know. I did not
you?
know. I did
Wow.
not know.
Absolutely. So tell
Yeah.
the people something about you.
Oh man. So I heard some mention of Robert E. Lee, the greatest high school in Montgomery, Alabama, probably the state of Alabama as a whole. So I don't want to shortcome that at all. Graduate of Lee High School, born and raised right here in Montgomery, Alabama. As some of my younger people would say, I'm off that north side, uh, over
Mm-hmm.
Sheridan Heights, Brookview. Everybody knows that corridor. And
Mm-hmm.
come October, I'll have been married, wow, for 20 years this October. My wife's a teacher here at MPS, two current kids in the system, and Terrence used to trick me into singing. So, yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Bro, you were in the group as far as I was concerned. Look,
Understood, understood.
Kirk Franklin first
Background, way
album.
background.
But nah, man, use my G man. But see, one of the things about first of all, I hope I'm not giving his opponent any fuel, but he gonna always be post Slim to me. That's what we call Dwayne. Post Slim. And if you knew Post Slim was gonna have the freshest Tommy Hilfiger. He's gonna have the freshest Nautica shirts. He gonna have the Eastland boots. He gonna have the fresh crease. Like, bro used to be clean every day. And
Reebok.
he
Don't
been
forget the Reebok Classics. Don't forget my
oh yeah,
classics.
Reebok. Yeah, my bad. Stay humble, bro. Stay humble. But yeah, man, and he's maintained that level of fashion, and I guess he's able to do it because he buying off the skinny section. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We didn't really have much slim fit clothing back in our days. Now that's the trend.
Right,
So I get all my clothes tailored. They just off the rack now, tailored, made just for me.
right.
Yeah.
So,
So,
so
so,
you're
so
running for board of education, right?
Yes.
What is making you? What was the final push that really made you say, "I need to do this," or "I want to do this"?
Oh wow. So the final push, I can tell you exactly. I've been fortunate enough to sit on a couple different boards around Montgomery, some nonprofit boards where we get to hire and make some decisions on some really great people coming into Montgomery to work. And on one of the boards in particular I sat on, we brought in this amazing guy. This really great guy. He comes in and he's here and he's kind of relaxing in Montgomery on the relocation, I guess, package for about, 4 or 5 months. But his family is still back, back home.
Hmm.
And me and him get to talking about, where he's going to live in Montgomery. And I think he's kind of found that ideal place until his wife comes down and she's doing a little bit more insight and research. And all of a sudden, they make a decision to move outside of Montgomery. And I'm like,
mhm.
what was the final decision? And ultimately, it came down to the schools. And their exact words to me was that we don't want our children's education to be based on a lottery. And that really
Mm,
set home and stuck with me at that point that we cannot just make Montgomery be about our amazing magnet schools. We've got to make sure that every one of our schools provides a great opportunity. So I decided at that point it was an opportunity for me to get in and let my voice be heard.
Absolutely.
mm. So, what do you feel the solution to that is? Because I've heard people say make them all magnet, but is that does that water down the process?
So I think the solution begins to us really just kind of getting back to some true elements of what a community school looks like. And community schools weren't just school that was in your community. It was the schools in the community where those businesses around that school were engaged and active. Those parents, the PTSA at that school were active and engaged. So I think that really kind of because when you think about a magnet, it's really a commuter school. There's no requirements for MPS to bus your kids to school, or you pretty much have to get them there on your own. So when you start thinking about the community schools, there becomes a community buy-in. And I always look
Hmm.
at it from this standpoint of my wife, who's a Carver alum, wants a Carver Wolverine, you're always a Carver Wolverine. People will
Hmm.
literally move back to West Montgomery so their child can, go to Carver because Carver means that much to them. So we have to take on that embracing, whether it's Carver or whether it's Southland or whether it's, uh, you know, Goodwin Middle or West Ferry Elementary. They've got to get back to being the community schools where that standard of excellence is expected at every school, regardless to where you live in the city.
So that's
I lo-
interesting because I have to see. I'm a graduate of a magnet school, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to see how that. So it has benefited me in the area of experience. Uh, and so a lot of that stuff is embedded in me, but I'm trying to see. I guess it has helped me in the community aspect of it as well.
Mhm.
I can go to a Shakespeare or I can go to a Davis Theater and see Nana Waldrop running the tech there, and she remembers me from school. I can go be in front of the Alabama Arts Alliance where Randy Foster was there and he was the executive director. All of those relationships started from being in CPAC and the BTW experience. That's strong.
Mhm. Right. And just so we're clear, I absolutely believe that because again, CPAC was branched off literally your senior year. So prior to your senior year, it was just that. It was a program housed out of Carver. Prior to Lamp being broken off into his own school, it was a program housed out of Lanier. And many of the programs that we had at Lee during our time there, those programs got branched off and later became Brutech. So there's a place for a magnet, absolutely. But when you look at our scores, and we've got Lamp High School is a perfect example. It's the number one school in the state, regularly ranks in the top 15, top 25 in the nation for high schools. But on any given year, our traditional high schools are not faring as well. They're in a very lower percentage for the state of Alabama. So there's a pretty big swing that's in there. So we've got to make sure that there's a balance in there so that those schools, we're raising the bar and the standards for those schools.
So answer me this: what's the rationale behind ranking magnet schools and ranking them by the same metrics as you rank a traditional high school? Like, yeah, you should rank the highest in the state when you get to hand pick your students. Why are you comparing them to schools that just have an open door policy?
Oh, this is so just to use the example, because we're in Alabama, and so we know how big football is here. Everybody gets ranked. The Tide gets
Mhm.
to pick the best and the brightest of them all, the most the fastest runners, the stronger, the bigger. It doesn't matter. They're still going to be in the same polls as your Troy University or your Jackson State because they're competing in the same space. So ultimately, Lamp is still competing in the same space academics as Park Crossing or in the same space as JAG or as Carver. So they're all still competing in the space of educating kids. So when you're looking at those
But what?
polling, they're not making a decision on who they got to pick who they wanted. No, at the ultimate end of the
But
day is what's the quality of education.
but here's the thing: in high school sports, there's 6A. In college sports, there's SEC, and then you have SWAC. So when we come to ranking these schools, when you put on a document that BTW is the number two high school in the state, why don't we make a 6A so we ain't got to put Carver High School at 125? Let's just rank Carver in its category to give more
So
context to those numbers.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
following you on that, and that one's going. I'm gonna have to let my light bulb flicker on that one for a little bit because I don't know the answer to
Or
that
maybe I'm overthinking it, but
no.
you
I
know,
one.
get what you're saying. I just think it's above. It's above him. It's
okay,
above the school board.
Yeah,
that's a state
That's
state
more of
level.
a state level thing, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
okay,
totally understand that though. That sentiment, yeah, you need to run that up the chain. That's a
Hey,
good
yeah.
one. Now I want to
we can
ask
do
this
that.
question. As you're running for is District 1, correct?
That
In the
District
Montgomery
One.
Public School System, for the Board of Education. Let's be real. I want to see how real you're gonna be with me. Brother
Okay.
Ferrier, I'm a preacher. I love to call folk doctor. So Dr. Ferrier, uh, what kind of student were you in school?
Ooh. Um. So if we're being absolutely honest, I was the most regular student there is. Um. And I think that's an absolute asset to everything that I'm doing right now and in this pursuit of what I'm doing right now from the simple standpoint of my junior year, going out from junior into senior year. Back then, everybody always took either the government and economics class in summer school to kind of get ahead at that time. Well, I did that, but I also had to take another class that summer because I didn't pass it my 11th grade year. So I was in
Mhm.
summer school, quote unquote, to get ahead and to get caught back up. I make the joke, but it was kind of not really a joke at the time. I enjoyed high school. I enjoyed high school to the absolute fullest. I found out I was graduating when they put the practice list up that these kids are going to be missing school because they got to go to graduation practice. That's when I found out I was graduating. So
Right,
prior to that, high school was absolutely just amazing to me.
right,
So
right.
with you being that type of student, tell me what type of emotion and pride would you feel to be able to be a part of the governing side of this same school system that you grew up in?
You know what that man. So here's the thing for me. And I'll use you as a perfect example of this, and both of you is that you guys have an ability to relate. There's a relatability to Lee B. Walker. There's a relatability to Terrence Baldwin that makes it easy for you guys to understand dynamics that are in play. I'm that guy. I can't sit here and look down at the kid or for any reason look down in this situation when I was that situation because I understood it. My 12th grade year, I was also the kid that went to school first half of the day, and we had co-op back then. So I worked the second half. I got early work experience. So what we're a lot of the things that we're bringing back to schools now, we were a part of it when I was in high school. We were a part of it in middle school. Some of my best friends learned to be barbers while we were in high school because they left at the
Hmm.
middle of the day to go do it. So those are the things that
Vocation.
would be a vocational school. So those are great sense of pride to me that help propel me. DECA, I don't know if you guys remember the DECA program. My
Uh-huh.
very first actual sales job was being in DECA, having to sell those cookies early in the morning and on lunch break.
Hmm.
So these
Right.
are things, exactly. So these are things for me that are huge memories, but are making me relate to saying, hey, if we have a version where we can do this today, let's try it.
Hmm.
Right. And
I
and
like it.
I'm seeing, now that I think about it, I'm seeing people like Charles Lee, uh, Rashad Provett. They're using these high school students and giving them this
That's
real life
it.
experience with working. And because you, Dwayne, you and I had a problem now about, how hard it is on the workforce. And, we're expecting grown people to come in and volunteer and come work, but
Yeah.
we have to, be willing to be teachers and create the workforce. And we might have to go
Yeah.
to the high school and colleges to make that happen.
Absolutely.
The very first employee I ever hired for my farmers agency was a DECA student at Lee High School. Um, I
Mm,
didn't go out and hire, a professional with experience. I went back to Lee High School, went back to Ms. Reynolds, who had been there when we were there, and I hired a DECA student. And that student left high school every day, came to my office at 1 o'clock, and worked until 5. And that was a part of me also giving back, but I knew what had been poured into me and the opportunities that came to me by being a part of that program. I felt as if it was the right thing to do at that point.
awesome.
I love it. I want to ask this question because a little birdie told me that you're an entrepreneur yourself. And I want to
Yes.
know what part of that grind and that ability to go out and do what you do professionally, if you don't mind mentioning what you do, what part of that, will we also see if given this role, how you can implement that same level of skill and talent to aid Montgomery Public School System?
Well, my dad was an entrepreneur pretty much my entire life. Um, so my dad taught me if you get up and do something, you can have something in life. So that's what it's been for me. Come this November, rather, it'll be 18 years for me as a farmer's insurance agent, uh, agency owner here in Montgomery, Alabama, and that's been a big part of what I do. So I won't see any profit from my agency by being a board member, but what I do plan to do is take some of the skills of managing staff, of kind of working in the community, and making sure that those are brought to the concept. Because one of the things we really got to think about is where does the business community fall at in public education? Because we really are training the next workforce, but are we having real conversations with the workforce now to know that we're putting out the right product? Um, I think with each and every one of us in our professional careers, we get some type of survey. We get some type of feedback from the people that we're serving to make sure that, hey, this is still what they want. And
Yeah.
I've watched both of you again, whether it was starting out in Lowndes County for you to new home now, Lee B, and the Terrence, our days back at what was the spot? Igor's to now where you're doing stadium shows. So there's came a point in time where you had to review what you were doing to make sure it was still what the people wanted. And that's what we've got to do, make sure we're doing it.
I love it.
So I appreciate it. Dwayne, I want to give you an opportunity right now because we need clickbait. We need to clip this stuff up.
Oh, here
I
we
want
go.
you to speak. I want you to speak directly to your district. I want you to call out those school names, and I want you
Okay.
to tell them why you should represent them in their district. District
Okay.
one.
So we've got 5 schools in the district: Garrett Elementary, Morningview Elementary, Dalrata Elementary, Capitol Heights Middle School, and the Children's Center. Most people are not familiar with the Children's Center as a school, but we have some kids that are in MPS who their disabilities don't allow them to be in our traditional school setting. So they need special needs, and we've got special instructors and an amazing staff working over at the Children's Center for them. So for me, it's really, really simple. It's personal. It's a really personal situation for me. As I mentioned, I'm a product of MPS, graduate of the greatest high school there is, Lee High School. Um, I'm a partner for MPS, and I've been doing that nearly for 20 years now, whether it's been me sponsoring athletic programs or supporting them, the various auxiliary clubs. My wife, the teacher, my kids, I've got a business here, 18 years again in November. I don't plan on going anywhere. So I need MPS to be great because as MPS goes, so does the city, so does the county, so does the river region. So we've got to make sure MPS is a personal education is personal and it's got to be personal for us.
That's
I love it.
awesome.
Now, Pastor Givens wrote in the chat, surveys are great, engaging educators and hearing their perspective as well. I'm assuming he's saying is great. So my question to you would be this: how do we support these teachers, these educators, without lowering the standards for the students and requiring a greater degree of work for them while knowing that many feel underpaid?
We've got to make sure that the teachers teach. That's what they want to do. Bottom line, the teachers want to teach. Now, something that's way above the county board level, there's a lot of testing that goes on. That's way above my pay grade. But we've got to make sure our teachers are allowed to do what many of them so passionately care about, and that's teach, because that's ultimately what they want to do. When you start talking about the money side of it, we got a couple big challenges that are coming up. As you remember, back in 2020, we passed an ad valorem tax that overall was overwhelmingly supported. However, when it went through its legislation, they put an expiration date on there. So that money does not just automatically continue to renew forever and ever and ever. I
Wow.
think that's got to maybe another year before the legislative body's got to come back and say, hey, we're going to approve this to go forward. So that money can really be used and it's been used. If you've seen what's happened here at some of the schools, take a look at Morningview. The Morningview that was 2 years ago isn't the same Morningview. New air conditioning systems, remodeled on the inside. And, well, a lot of the outside has been worked on. So we've also got the new Percy Julian, which is replacing Lee High School, but we know who they are. We've got that new building coming on. Capitol Heights is
Mhm.
going to get a new structure. So when you start talking about these things, you sound just like you're talking about buildings, but everybody wants to go and work in a building where it's comfortable, where they're not having to worry about the mold or ceilings falling in. So we've got to make sure the teachers are simply allowed to teach and give them the best resources, the best products that we can to make sure that they get to do the best job and continue to excel as they do.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Now,
So,
with
t-
you
so
being on the PTA, I apologize, TB, but with you
Okay.
being
oh,
a
you good?
part of the PTSA, especially at Floyd Middle Magnet, I have to ask you this question because you deal
Best
with the
PTSA
young
in the
people.
city. I'm sorry. Best PTSA in the city. Go ahead.
Absolutely, y'all do an amazing job. I've never seen as much support at other schools that I see at Floyd. I'm not gonna lie to you. But either way, with you being that close to the students, my question is this: what is one thing that students are facing today that often we as adults overlook?
I think the one thing that they're really facing today that we're overlooking is the mental side of it. Um, especially, I'm looking at us, and even though you're man, you were in what, second grade when we were graduating high school?
It
Right.
was like
What?
third or fourth, something like that. Third or fourth, something like that.
That one hurt right there. That was a gut punch. But when we were
Right.
growing up, especially, it was just more so, hey man, suck it up. This is what it is. I don't know. I know mental illnesses were a real thing then. I just don't know if we gave it as much focus and attention as was needed.
Hmm.
These kids are dealing with a lot here, and because we're really, when you start talking about how much they're having to be on Chromebooks, how much they're having to be on computers and on, there's a real online bullying that goes on that we never had to face. There's real pressure and stress that comes in from where how they look and these things that we didn't deal with as much. So I think the mental aspect of that, and that's one of the things that I really would love to sit down with the school board and the financial officers and look and see where the money is at on the budget and see if we can hire more mental health professionals to be in the district, so that we can help work on those things. Because that's one thing I don't think that we're really um, getting across that as much as we want to, making sure we take care of the kids.
Yeah,
You
I
bring
think
up a
that's a good
very
conversation.
you
Go
bring
ahead.
up a very interesting point. We often talk about mental health here on this show,
Hmm.
and the fact that you say like, I don't think that we didn't deal with these pressures, but I feel like we live in a time where we acknowledge depression, we acknowledge anxiety, and we tell people to
Hmm.
lean into your feelings, lean into your
Right.
emotions. And I feel like sometimes the more you lean into it, the more it manifests and it grows. And so were we better off back then with the
Mm.
lack of education? You know, and that could be me going too deep again.
Yeah, you deep
Because
diving.
but the deal is, here's the thing. I live in so much peace because of how I feel. You know what I mean? And when I
Hmm.
hear so many people who are vulnerable to depression and anxiety, like, that's nowhere to be. That's no way to live. So
Yeah.
I feel I don't think we should live in a society that maybe quiets that speech. I think we need to say it
Hmm.
louder. I think people are maybe tired of me saying it would help to hear you say it or you say it, because never mind. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
No,
so
well,
this is what I was just gonna say, because I don't want my candidate to be in a space where he has to answer all of those type of deep dive questions. But
Right.
I'll say this: I believe that as we became aware, we
hmm
picked up the tenet of embracing it so we can express it, but there's not
right.
enough people teaching people how to endure it. If anything, that's
Mm.
where we're missing out on. That you can embrace, oh, this is that really did hurt. You can express it and say, man, that really hurt my feelings. But then you got to learn how to endure beyond that moment. And that's what you kind of talking about, TB. And in a surface look, or maybe an eagle perspective, I can see what you're saying. I just think we need more people who aren't attempting, and this is real deep dive here, aren't
Hmm.
attempting to make the money for the sessions, but are attempting to
Hmm.
move the people from that moment of stress or trauma back to a space where they can continue to process and live and keep moving forward. But that's a whole deep dive. We're not
Yeah.
there today.
No,
I got
that's
you.
one
I
that's one
got
of
you.
them Sundays I get to come and take notes on right there. That's a Sunday take
Yeah.
note session.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we headed
Yeah.
back to the shallow section. We headed back to the
That's
Okay.
right.
shallow.
Let's go. I go over there.
Yeah.
I hang out there. So,
Yeah.
hey,
So
I want to ask. Can I
go
ask you
ahead.
two something? This is away from the political piece. Did y'all get a chance to
Okay.
watch the roast of Kevin Hart?
I loved it.
I hadn't gotten a chance to watch all of it. I've seen some of the highlights.
Oh,
I've seen some of the
So I
highlights.
wanted I wanted to talk about that, man, because I feel like these roasts are they. I know that's the point of them, is to go too far, but
mhm.
how do you feel about like Caucasian comedians? Like, that's a safe space to say some racial jokes. Like, some of those
Now,
laughs
now
be
hold
like,
on. Now hold on. Now the George Floyd one went a little too far,
that
but
was far.
the other ones were cool because of the dynamic. So that's comedians, right? And the dynamic now is more racial. It's a lot of racial tension, so it's easy for them to make fun of it. because they did the same thing. Now they turned to some of them Caucasian persuasion and went ahead and told them, like, I saw you with your MAGA hat on when you came in. You know, like like it was on both sides. But the George Floyd was way too much. Now that was too
That's
much.
way too.
So here's my take on it. And I grew up in the era of Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
I grew up in the era of Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence and Bernie Mac. So
Right.
I don't, you know, Red Fox on the tail end of him. So I don't know when you say jokes go too far. I don't know what that means because half of the comedians that I grew up enjoying, oh man, it ain't even half. It's way more than half. They wouldn't get to be comedians today because the stuff they did was, you know, have you ever heard of Rudy Ray?
I
You get
haven't.
to
Oh
listen.
yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
when we start thinking on that level, I'm just no. Mm-mm.
They ain't do nothing, huh?
Yeah, they didn't say anything that I thought was you can't.
Bro.
You
Bro.
can't.
Cheryl Underwood's husband, which I didn't know this before the roast, died falling off a bridge, or he committed suicide.
He committed suicide like 30 years ago. And she came up and said that though.
Bro, when is that ever okay to joke about?
But see, that's the thing. Now, Terrence, you just had a discourse deep dive about the
Uh-huh.
sensitivity of our society. And
There we
now
go.
you are now pushing up more sensitivity in the space
No,
where
no.
everybody shouldn't,
So
everybody can't watch the roast.
the the way I feel about mental health is different from we have societal boundaries. And in my society, like a
Do
person
we?
joking on,
No,
yes, absolutely.
no,
Bro,
we
I ain't
So
don't.
never been nowhere. You,
I'll say this
you,
because
you,
I do think this ties perfectly back into education. Um,
okay.
these boundaries that you speak of, we have allowed. And I'm trying not to sound like Pastor Walker here now. We have allowed the church and the world to commingle so much that these boundaries are kind of being it's a real gray area in there, and I don't know that there's as much respect for it as you would like for it to be.
Mm,
Yeah. And no lie, these boundaries were invisible. They were invisible, and we thought that
Yeah.
they were boundaries until literally, our current space of society started putting their foot all the way
Yes.
on the other side. And so one preacher said, as I attended the IC3 conference, uh, it was good for us to have a second time of looking at this administration to remind
Mm.
us that we are not as morally sound as we thought we were. Whole nother conversation, whole nother day.
mm.
We'll debate on the phone. But either way, as we climb back to the shallow water for the time that is ours.
Come on, man. Stop it. Let's go take a bath when we get off the line, man. Look, here's the thing. What a lot of people might not know about Dwayne loves to get deep, like in the deep waters. And so I'm trying to bait him. The leak
You
keep
are.
pushing you back to the shallow, bro.
Yeah. We'll let him stay in the middle of the pool.
You gonna wait until he gets into the seat, and we'll bring him back.
But
Uh,
that's a perfect time. But I
Yeah.
wanted to ask this though, and maybe just maybe this definitely ties in with the conversation of sensitivity. We had another candidate on for another district, and we had a very good conversation with him. One of the things that he said he is a proponent of, but even would thinks that it should be considered now. How do you feel about discipline in the schoolhouse?
so I'm going to give you two answers on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to give you two answers. Biblically, if we spare the rod, we spoil the child. That's
Yes,
biblically.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
that didn't happen in my house. It didn't happen in my cousin's house. It didn't happen in my auntie's house. It didn't happen. Professionally, we are also in a time frame where you've got a lawyer commercial that comes on every three commercials that says, if you've been hurt, injured, just call, pick a lawyer. So when we start talking about the physical discipline that some of us may have experienced when we were growing up in school, are we all still okay with everybody physically punishing our child? You may
Mm.
feel a certain way about it depending upon who's doing it. And when that happens, that may bring forth a lawsuit to MPS or to any of the various school districts. So that's a very thin line. We've got to figure out what that looks like. So the discipline that me and you got, that we were probably used to in school, I don't know that we can honestly bring that back. Um, but I do think we've got to take a second look at what discipline looks like in our schools, because we all know that that is an issue that we've got to figure out. Because again, that goes back to allowing teachers to teach. A teacher cannot teach if she or he is dealing with a whole discipline issue over and over and over again in their class. So we've got to figure out what that looks like to move forward.
Yeah, and I think that spare the rod thing, like, I can imagine a person having to spank a high schooler these days probably don't feel too safe. Even
Yeah,
outside of us wanting a teacher to put their hands on our child, but you imagine hearing some of these students that go to JAG, and
right.
you got to take your family to Applebee's later on that night, uh, and so
That
the concept of spare
and
the
and
rod don't
the
have to.
teacher got to see the parent. Yeah,
Right. But spare the rod, you don't have to do away with that. You just whoop them at the house. You know what I mean? We shouldn't have to whoop them.
well,
And the
you know,
real
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that's a literal look at the text. So we literally,
Mhm.
as our, beautifully sun kissed people, we holler spare the rod. That the rod is symbolic for the belt for us,
Yes,
but the
sir.
rod is
Mhm.
symbolic for discipline. Period. In
Right.
the scripture,
That's it.
and so it's any manner of discipline. But I believe, Doc, I think there's no more fear because of what they don't get at home and or whatever lack of discipline or follow through there is in the school system. Doc, we knew you get wrote up once, okay, you might
Right.
sit in that
Yeah.
classroom, but you get wrote up twice, or you going to the principal. And the principal gonna
Eh,
send you to what we call retract or in school
Right.
suspension. Like there was some pathway
Retract. Wow.
for
But
discipline. Y'all was in
and then
retract?
Yeah.
Y'all had retract?
Yeah.
yeah, retract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrence didn't make it there, but
No, sir.
we had
Never.
a full,
N-
some of us had a full school experience.
Yeah, yeah, bro. I had to go to theater later on in the day. Ain't nobody got
Yeah.
time to be. But no, I think about discipline. I remember, like, my son, my youngest son Tank was getting at school, and he had to do a year or two over at Brubaker,
Mm.
the intermediate school. And I remember pulling up, like, my youngest was trying to thug a little bit, and I went and sat and read to his class and told his class, like, "Hey, yo, this is my son, and I know some of y'all in here thugging, and he's trying to act like y'all. That ain't what he does. That ain't where he comes from. So when you see him doing that, I want you to remind him that his daddy lives 2 minutes from here and can come at any time." Like, once I explained that to everybody he was studying for, the jig was up. He couldn't do it no more, And so,
Yeah.
um, that's an example of the rod, and I didn't have
No,
to beat him.
and I'll give you, I'll even back that one up. I, I love going to open houses at my kids' schools, because when I walk in, it's real clear. Hey, look, if my child has an issue here, handle it. You have my, if I need to sign something, let me know. You
Yeah.
handle it and then call me and tell me what you did so it can get reinforced at home. Because
Hmm.
from my standpoint, my children are simple. You can go to school, you may not learn nothing today, but you don't have the right to disturb anybody else from learning something today. And so those are some just basic principles from my house. You know,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
As I
Yeah.
try to as I try to move back towards the middle of the pool,
okay.
some of the things that that I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of things that happened at the state house on last week. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Are we shocked? And if so, why? That was my immediate thought. Um, Respectfully, when we think about it from a history standpoint, we're right here in Montgomery, Alabama. Um, when Brown versus Board was passed, a lot of the private schools that we have here in Montgomery were established either right before or shortly thereafter. So some of the things that we're seeing in the separation is not new. The United States interstate system was built going through the communities that were housed by us. Peacock Track, right here in Montgomery, Alabama, that was an all black community district. Well, right now, that's where 85 and 65 intersect at. So the whole concept of where we are is not shocking to me. My mom being from Lowndes County and me growing up and spending a lot of my time there, there's a real bloody history of this in Lowndes County and the whole voting. And you think about the Black Panthers, a lot of it says it was started there. So none of this is shocking to me. The question is, for me, is that are we going to be in our reaction to this? Are we going to simply be reactionary, or are we going to be reactionary with also deciding what's going to future's going to really look like? So we don't really just kind of get to sit back and do nothing here. We've got to really plan not just what the next 12 months look like, but
Yeah.
for us, what does the next 20 years look like? Because remember, this is a 60-year battle for them. This is a 60-year battle to be able to get to this point. So I was watching something on TV the other day when they were saying, when you think about the district that Representative Figures sits in, well, there was a lawsuit that's almost 30 years old that led to the district that Representative Sewell sits in, just for to get that district. That wasn't very long ago. So now here we are. We got one, but it's taken away. So no, I don't. Nothing about it was shocking to me.
Wow.
Yeah, that what you said was very simple yet very profound.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's just the reality, and as I tell people all the time, we have a voice. It's what we utilize when we vote, and so what we do
That's
with
it.
that means a lot. And I think at some point we just have to consider the reality that once we receive a thing and we don't take advantage of it,
That's
we
it.
stand the opportunity to lose that very thing that we just received.
That's it.
So yeah, man.
And I think
Before,
that's I think
bef-
that's the power of the vote. A lot of times we ask for term limits. There's a lot of cases where you feel like we should have term limits. Well, we have term limits. You
hmm
know, every 4 years you can vote. For some cases, every two you can vote. So we have term limits, but it's are we exercising it to actually do it? I mean, case in point, school board has 5 of its 7 seats are up for election this year. Are
Yeah,
we happy with MPS? And if you're not happy with MPS, are you voting for change for MPS? So that
yeah,
becomes a question. We can't just sit on it. There are some, and not just including myself. They're a little plug, but there are some really great people that are seeking the school board seats this year. And again, are we truly happy with the results that we're getting? Have we seen the progress that we believe we need for MPS? And if we're not, then you have an opportunity to vote and change and try something different.
well, let's do some simple FAQs real quick. Um,
Okay?
every person who lives in the county of Montgomery gets to vote on the school district, right? On a
No,
school district, whatever district they're in, that's what they vote for, correct?
no.
How's it go?
So to my knowledge, Pike Road, which has a school system, and I think their board is appointed. I don't think they have an elected board. So
Okay.
if you live in the Pike Road city, or your kids or your homes are zoned for Pike Road, you don't get to vote in the Montgomery County public school election. That will not be on your ballot. You have to be in one of the designated areas that are zoned for Montgomery County public schools. And we have 7 districts, and only 5 of them are up for election this year. There's a staggered there. So the next two, those will be up in 2 years.
Awesome. Now, how do they know what district they're in?
So you can go to the state website when you're pulling up your voting information. That's a very good thing right now is for you to go in and verify that you are still eligible to vote. So when you go in to verify that you are eligible to vote, it tells you exactly which precincts you're in, which districts you're in, and who you're. Won't tell you who you get to vote for. That's kind of a little bit more information, but it does tell you your districts.
So, some of us receive something in the mail. So you might need to
Mhm.
check your mail. You should have a card that has all of that information on there
That's
because
right.
this is not a matter of if your child is in school right now or not.
Oh no.
You can
Hmm.
still vote. And that matters that we say that because there's many people who don't care about it at all. They're so removed from what's happening because their children are no longer in the school system, not realizing, as you said, as so many have stated, if our school system isn't functioning properly, it affects everything else.
And the
Hmm.
statistics are out now. There are more people 60 and above than there are 16. More people 60 and above than there are 16. So when you
Wow.
start thinking about that number, so no, your kids don't have to be in the district. But as we just saw, Jackson Hospital was struggling financially. So what happens if Jackson fails? Or better yet, what happens if we're not able to supply Jackson with the staff that it needs? That reverts back to MPS. That so every great nurse and doctor and administrator, they're not coming in from around the world to come to Jackson. A lot of those people are homegrown that get to work and live here. So that's a really big deal for an aging community that has to be taken care of. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I like going out to eat. That's the community that we got to
Hmm.
make sure is relevant here in Montgomery, the
Yeah,
hospitality community. All of these things begin with the work class that comes from Montgomery County Public Schools.
I love it. Well, let's. I want to ask you some fun things, and I think we're gonna make our
Okay.
way off, man. You know, you were in Montgomery Public School System back when we had good lunch. I ain't talking about the stuff they eat now, and I'm
Mm.
talking about when we had the soda machines and the Fruitopia machine. You know, I'm talking that good stuff,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
What was your
Whoa,
favorite
whoa, whoa,
school
whoa,
lunch
oh, whoa, whoa,
growing
whoa,
up?
whoa, 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 whoa. You
Huh?
not, young man. You when you talk old school with us, don't come talk about no Fruitopia, boy. We were good and grown when Fruitopia came out. Dwayne, you hear this young buck trying to talk old school with us, bro?
My
Go
bad,
on,
my
Yeah, I
bad,
man.
did.
my
I
bad.
was
I
gonna
forgot
let him
how old.
slide. I was gonna let him slide.
Man, what y'all had? Fago? What was it? I mean, what y'all had?
Yeah,
So
bro. You ain't talking.
Fago was cool, but man, I was excited just to get the little. You remember the little juice cartons?
Yeah, the
And
juice
then if
cart,
you
the
hit it,
box,
yeah,
delicious.
and if you mess around and got it when it was the frozen one where
Oh, that
where
that
it
was
broke up,
Right.
busting. That was busting.
yeah.
That was
See,
busting.
see,
So, what
yeah,
was your
you know.
favorite lunch meal though? What was your favorite meal in the lunchroom?
So this is gonna sound odd, but for me, my favorite lunch was the rectangle pizza, the French fries, and it was the apple and raisin little salad that came with it.
Mm.
Yeah,
See,
you remember it was like apple raisins. It may have been some mayonnaise. I don't know, but it was yeah, it was a little
now
yeah.
am
Doc,
I tripping because my favorite lunchroom pizza was the triangle pizza, the pepperoni. I really didn't rock with the sausage like that.
you
I
ain't.
think I think you got that at BTW. We ain't had that at least. We just had the
Yeah, we
rectangle pizza at least.
we had rectangle pizza with pepperoni on it, bro, and it was
No, bro.
busting.
Now let me tell you, I used to sneak out. Like when I was at Lee, I didn't really eat Lee's lunch because let me be real.
See, you try to
The,
get us in trouble now.
no, it's over with. I got away with it.
Hey,
Okay,
look,
We used
so I
to
got to.
leave. We used to leave at lunch. After lunch, we had to be at Carver. My 11th grade year, I was driving. So me and my
Lord.
best friend at the time, we would leave and go to Burger King down the street on Ann Street. That's back when you used to be able to get a 99-cent Whopper.
Yeah,
When
that
the
was
last
that
time
was
you heard of a
19.
99-cent Whopper?
Yeah, that was
So
1906.
so
Well,
we had
that's a good
so
year.
for me a lot you fell right into that one, Lee.
No, I gave that one
Yeah.
to
So
him on purpose.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of my lunches in high school were spent at the McDonald's. and KFC at the corner of Madison and Mount Meigs. So
yeah, y'all was missing. So
Wow.
I don't know. Was Officer Howard there when y'all were there? Officer
I
Howard, he
don't,
was.
I don't honestly, Terrence, and you got to help me remember. I don't remember resource officers at our school in general because we had this. What I do remember is we had he was, I don't want to call janitor, custodian. His name was Mr. Mann. And Mr. Mann was
Yeah.
about 6'5", 300 pounds. You
Yeah.
don't play with Mr. Mann. So if Mr. Mann say it's time for you to get out the hallway, unless
Get
you were
somewhere.
Fred Weary or Corey
Right.
Sears, you got out the hallway and went on about your business. Yeah.
Right.
Well, Doc, no lie. When I was coming up, we did skip, and it was always band because we had band at lunchroom time, at lunchtime, and we hit that side door by the band room. We jump in one of them cars. We'd head down to Stevie B's. I don't know if y'all remember Stevie B's. It was the
Atlanta
pizza spot.
Highway.
Yeah, yeah. All the high schoolers worked at Stevie B's and CC's. It was like a rivalry. We would go to Stevie B, man. We'd be in there eating all day. Come back up there, Officer Howard said, "Come here, boy. Come here, boy." He get us every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Real. I peeped this about you since we've been
What's
on.
that?
You must have got your retouch this week because when I tell you them curls are popping,
Let me tell you something.
you slept in your bonnet last night, Real.
Let me
You
tell you
slept in your
something, Doc.
bonnet.
Wow.
I know what I be doing now. When I had to go speak at McIntyre Comprehensive Academy
Hmm.
earlier today, I had a
Hmm.
great time with their graduating seniors, so I had to get right. Doc. I knew we were gonna take
Bro,
some
but how,
pictures.
I didn't know you had curls like that, bro. You
Well,
slept
I
on the
be
silk pillow.
no. I woke up this morning and got my curl on. You gotta
Okay.
you gotta know how to do your own stuff, man. Can't go to the barber
Yeah.
every time. Yeah.
Every week.
Okay.
Hey, it's okay. I'm gonna help your hair grow back. We're gonna send you across the town. You're gonna go on across the other side of the world.
Oh
They're
man,
gonna
that's
put
that
their hair
spray.
back on you.
That's that spray.
These fibers, not spray. See, I'm bougie. We
ladies
use
and
fibers my way.
ladies and gentlemen, please vote Post Slim for district. Hold on, not Post
they
Slim.
don't they don't know who that is.
Du, Dwayne Ferrier for District 1 School Board, Montgomery
Yeah.
County Public Schools. He cares. He can do it. This is off the cuff, on the block. Thank you for joining us, brother. Oh, that we got the
Absolutely.
Hey
graphic
man.
up. Yeah. Put
Hey,
put
look,
that back.
I want to say this again to y'all. I really do appreciate you guys. I don't. I'm gonna date myself on this one. This whole interview segment, I think Terrence might be the inventor of this in Montgomery. Um, and when you was it you and Jamar the first that I can remember? What
Yeah,
was the
man,
name?
that's the
I'm just
culture
curious.
shock.
What was the name of that show?
The culture shock. Real people doing real
Culture
things,
Shock.
and
And so,
this is a great time to shout him out. He has his own leadership and literacy podcast,
yes,
and he
yes.
doing big things with that. He has a whole literary
Yeah.
campaign going on.
So I personally, like I said, thank you for allowing me to come on. Thank you for allowing me to be here for the two of you because again, I want to make sure you guys get your flowers in this time because you're doing amazing things here in the city. The both of you to propel the city forward and to be in this space with my peers is truly humbling. So I thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
We're
Thank you
Yeah,
grateful
for
you
stopping
came,
by.
man.
yeah.
Absolutely. We praying for you. May the 19th. Y'all get out there and vote. We'll see you. Peace.